Hello, everybody. It's Uncle Gary, Crash Test Uncle. Be sure and like and subscribe if you are enjoying or getting anything out of my podcast. I really appreciate all of you who've listened to the few episodes I've put out so far. Um, Today, I want to tell a story I was just thinking about. Several years ago, I had started a company with my brother, uh, my brother from another mother, Dave. He and we started a company called Air Transit Solutions, and it was shortly after my daughter was born, Sydney, and got a contract flying radio pharmaceuticals, pet isotopes around the country, and with a company, PetNet Pharmaceuticals, and then ended up flying for Cardinal Health, nuclear pharmacies, and loved that work. Um, Before that, I was a recording artist, a Christian rock, heavy metal polka, whatever. I did Christian rock uh, music and toured with a band and did that for many years. And I've had several seasons in my life that have changed, and I'm in a different season now. But during one of those shifts of season, I started this company, and it's funny how when you have a child to support, and yeah, you just get things change as a man. And I was like, man, I need to act and get into the business and start being as productive as I can. And so I did that, and I still did music a lot on the side. And I put out a country record in '05, and then toured around and got, like, both my fans really love it. Had a great uh, experience with some country radio, outlaw radio in Texas, and that was fun. Had a few songs that got on the radio, but during that whole season, I I was in Castroville, Texas, and I partnered. There was a tornado that hit the airport, and my airplane was miraculously saved when others were destroyed. And so we had to replace the main terminal was decimated by the tornado. And so there, my buddy who owned a flight school there, he put this temporary mobile home there, and like a double wide, and we turned that into an office space. And I was in an office right next to his, and I'm sitting back in the office, and I've got some old music stuff laying around. Uh, I was going through stuff, sorting, filing, throwing away things, and there were some old black and white 8x10s, like you used to mail out to the newspaper when you're doing a gig, or doing an event for the newspaper promo stuff. This is stuff that old technology, basically. And so I had some of those things laying around, and a couple of CDs, and I'm in my office working on some stuff related to the aviation business I was in, and this guy walks into my office. Hey, how you doing? And he was introducing himself. He was a pilot, and then he looked over and he saw this black and white of of me, but it didn't look like me because I had shaved my head and had a goatee, and this picture was me with a full beard and a long hair. I had really long hair back in the 80s and early 90s. And anyway, he looks at that and he goes, "Wow, do you know Gary Ritchey?" And I didn't know what to say. I said, "Yeah, yeah." That's all I said. And he goes, "Wow, man, I know him too. Yeah, I didn't know who this guy was. I was like, I just met him, and I didn't remember him." And I was like, "Well, okay." And he's talking about, how he knew Gary Ritchey, and so I'm listening to the stories, and he's talking about being in my recording studio, and I went, "Yeah, I had a recording studio back in the past, and in East Texas." And he was then it occurred to me, oh, I remember who he came in with, and yes, I remember that session. And so he's going on, and I just couldn't tell him because I kind of went along with this too long, and I never told him who I was, and he never figured it out. And he was talking about Gary Ritchey and how he was good friends with Gary Ritchey, and I was just like, wow, cool, that's really cool. And he's so you know it? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And in the other room, Greg, who owns the flight school, is sitting in the bed and they're listening the whole time. And when this guy left, very very cool guy, it was a fun conversation, and I'm just like, didn't know what to say, and and I hear Greg screaming from the other room, "Hey, didn't you used to be Gary Ritchey?" And so I used to be Gary Ritchey, uh, and the next several podcasts that I'm going to do, I'm kind of going to talk about some of the seasons of of my life, and partially some of it's going to be pretty serious because it's going to go into why I walk with a limp. And some days are better than others. Like when there's a cold front, I'm a barometer. If there's a cold front coming, just look at me. If I'm walking funny, yep, there's something coming. The winter storm, I'm a very good predictor on winter storms uh, and tornadoes. Yeah, I know. My body talks to me about weather changes. But anyway, why I walk with a limp. I'm probably going to do a multi-part series just to kind of chop it up and not make it too long because there's a lot to talk about in that. And I just really appreciate you guys listening. And I just wanted to come on and say, yep, I used to be Gary Ritchie. We're going to talk a little about him later. Love you guys. Bye. Trying to shut this thing off. There we go.